Everybody, finally got our podcast up and running. We've had a busy last couple weeks because of the holidays, so haven't been able to run it until now. Let me get Neil on the phone.
Oh,
What's going on, Neil?
not much.
You sound tired, dude.
Hang on a second. No, I'm not.
Huh?
I said my girlfriend's still sleeping.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm trying to get some coffee made so I can get out of the garage.
Right.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a rough night last night around the house.
Well, when you get out in the garage, try to speak a little louder because I don't think they're gonna be able to hear you.
Right, I will.
Because I'm already live and stuff. So.
Oh shit, sorry, dude. Alright, yeah, I'll go out there and my coffee's finishing up right now, actually.
No, it's cool. Go ahead, do your thing.
Alright.
But yeah, finally we were able to get back on there with the holidays, and then last weekend, me working second shift kind of threw us off a little bit. So it's nice to finally get back on.
Exactly.
So what'd you think about the games yesterday? Or not yesterday, but Thursday.
Thursday?
Yeah.
I watched the first two. I didn't really watch much of the Saints and Falcons game.
No?
Yeah, I kind of fell into a bit of a tryptophan coma.
I understand.
All that turkey finally got to me. But,
Hello.
no, the first game, of course, being from Michigan and everything, or living in Michigan, was Lions, and it was an interesting game. Kind of feel bad for whoever is the quarterback for the Lions because them guys can put up 28 points and it's not enough.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who's behind the center for him. It really doesn't.
And that defense is brutal. But I'm not sure if who you can really point the finger at, if it's the players themselves or if it's the scheme.
Oh.
And I'm kind of leaning towards more that it's the scheme.
Scheme, yeah. Pascaloni's got to go. Like, how do you only blitz like 6% of the time? You can't win football games like that. You got to get pressure on the quarterback.
No, and Trey Flowers has got 6 sacks on the year, and how much does he get paid a year?
Well, he's got 5 in his last 5 games, so he's really healthy. He's starting to play a lot better now, but he can't be the only one doing anything.
Well, right. That's what I'm just kind of leaning towards. And, you gotta have pressure coming off both ends. That's what their job is: get upfield and collapse the pocket. And that game was good. Galladay, that was the first play of the game for the Lions. That 75-yarder, that was a big hit. And I actually thought that was basically going to break Chicago's back right from the get-go. And, to their credit, they fought back.
Yeah.
And, of course, Trubisky had his best game of the year against the Lions. So, what can you do? And,
which is kind of sad because he still made quite a few mistakes in that game, and that was his best game of the year. So, if that's
yeah, I was shocked that I guess I didn't really pay much attention to. I was doing a little bit of talking. We were over at some friend's house, having dinner and everything while the game was on. But I didn't realize he had gone over 300 yards passing. I knew he had the 3 touchdowns, but I didn't realize he had 300 yards, over 300 yards passing, and that kind of shocked me a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you play the 30th ranked pass defense. So that's just despicable. They got to do something. Pascaloni's done when the year's over. He's fired for sure. So
I don't know why they don't do it now.
I don't know either, but I got maybe because they already know the year's over and they don't want to try to learn a new scheme and all that right now. But I don't know. I would have fired him like 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, what does it hurt to learn a new scheme now? I mean, it's not like you're going to save the season.
Right, and then you'll at least, the players will know the scheme going into next year instead of trying to adjust during the off season. All right, let's get to these questions now. All right. The first question is, can the Jets make it 4 wins in a row? Hello, Rosie.
They still got the Patriots on the schedule, don't they?
Yeah, but I think they're just meaning can they win this weekend because they're on a win streak now, 3-game win streak.
I thought she meant to. The question was from. I thought she meant close the year out. They're playing really good right now. Despite Adam Gase's bullholdness.
True.
I've never been a fan of that dude and never will be. I think I picked him this week, so I'm gonna have to say yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta stick with my pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah too. I mean, they're playing a winless Bengals team that hasn't shown hardly any life at all, and they're going back to Andy Dalton, and we all know where that's been already. We've been there, seen that.
Right.
I don't see any way that they beat him, especially with the role the Jets have been on now, and as well as Darnold's been playing lately. They just blew out the Raiders, so there's really no reason for me to think that they can't blow out the Bengals. So this Jets team's finally starting to click. This is the Jets team that I thought I was going to see all year. Unfortunately, inept coaching and injuries and sicknesses have plagued the Jets all year. And I think that that's been more of the Jets' downfall than them not being good.
Oh, and don't forget Ghosts.
Oh, and Ghosts, too, yeah. Yeah, Ghosts. Definitely can't forget Ghosts. Ghosts haunt the Jets. Darnold sees them all over the place.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's just Sam.
But maybe he's the only one that's aware that they're there. Maybe they're haunting the whole team, and he's the only one that can see them.
That could be, too. Maybe, he's the chosen one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I think both me and Neil think the Jets will win convincingly in that game. So.
Yeah, I mean, since they don't stand a chance, so.
Yeah.
You can see this right now. I'm sitting out on the steps in the garage, and my lab is sitting behind me with his head on my right shoulder, looking forward like I would be.
He wants to say his piece too.
Well, he wants to play. He dropped his chicken between my legs and between my feet on the step below me, and he wants me to throw it.
Yeah. So you gonna continue talking on the phone? Or you gonna play catch?
Yeah.
All right. After a big loss to the New York Jets, do you think the Oakland Raiders can still sneak into the AFC wildcard picture?
Yeah. Gruden's a very good coach, and he'll get that right. I mean, everybody has a game like that every now and again.
Yep.
Where just nothing happens and nothing goes right, and you get punched in the mouth repeatedly, and there's just nothing you can do about it. The defense got exposed for whatever I think truly is, and the Jets got some really good offensive pieces.
Yeah.
Really good offensive pieces.
Yeah, they do. I agree.
Yeah, I think Oakland would get right.
Yep. I think that they can sneak into the wild card picture too. One, because the AFC is weak, and 10 and 6 definitely going to get you in. 9 and 7 could get you in. So they're 6 and 5, so they can afford to probably lose 2 more games and still get in. And They play Kansas City this weekend and say they lose, they're 6-6. Well, the rest of their schedule's cupcake schedule. So I'm not anticipating them losing too many more games going down the stretch. And I know they got blown out by the Jets. I'm aware of that. Those type of games happen to almost any team. Ask the Saints against Atlanta. Ask the Vikings against the Bears. Both those two teams are very superior to the two teams that they were playing and had let down games. That stuff just happens. I don't think the Raiders are a worse team than the Jets. I just think that they weren't ready to play that week.
Right.
I do anticipate Oakland taking one of the wild card spots. I said that last week, last podcast, and I'm going to stick to it despite their blowout loss. So I do expect them to get in at probably around 9-7. So,
yeah, I expect that they'll take the last wild card spot. It'll be the last one.
Yeah. I'm there because either Houston or Indy's probably gonna. Well, no, Buffalo. Actually, Buffalo's 8-3. Buffalo will probably take the first one, and it'll be a fight between either Indy and Houston and Oakland for the last one.
Right.
So I think that those are the only two teams that truly have a shot. Maybe Cleveland, because Cleveland's schedule's pretty easy going down the stretch.
Right.
But no more than those three teams. Pittsburgh's gonna fall off. Tennessee will fall off because it's Tennessee and they do every year. They are 6-5 every single year. Tennessee is so.
Didn't Oakland? No, maybe I'm probably misremembering. I'm gonna sound like a fool, but Oakland and Indy played this year, didn't they?
Yes.
And Oakland won.
Oakland won.
Right.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
So Oakland will have tiebreaker over Indy.
Right.
So, yeah. So that's how. I mean, that's kind of how I envision it going. I really do expect, based on strength of schedule, that Oakland's going to get the last spot. Oakland's not ready to make any noise in the playoffs yet. I don't expect them to do anything, but they're coming, and they're building a team, and they'll be a force to be reckoned with for a few years. So they're looking good the way that they're putting their team together.
I agree.
Will anybody be able to stop Baltimore's run game?
Not until Lamar Jackson doesn't play. I mean, he's the engine for that whole offense, and that offense is predicated around what he does. And people say, oh, he's a running quarterback. Well, yeah, he is. But you know what? He can also throw the ball. He can spin that ball really well. And don't undersell him on that, because he surprised me. And, you know, as I've said before, I was on him from the get-go, you know, as far as he has improved in his passing. But he shocked me, even knowing that he had improved his passing and how much he improved. You know, I mean, it doesn't matter who you plug in back there, running back, whether it be Ingram, whether it be Gus Edwards, whether it be Justice Hill. I mean, you could probably put one of the offensive linemen back there, and they'd still, you know, do all right with it. I just
agree.
don't. Yeah, I mean, especially if they run their option, their style of option. I mean, you absolutely got to play Lamar Jackson, because he's faster than most guys on the field. There's very few that can run with him.
I agree. Can anyone stop Baltimore's run game? Yeah, it can be done. It's just not easy to do. Pittsburgh did it. Okay. Lamar Jackson had 70 yards in that game, but a lot of them were at the end of the game in an overtime, right? So if you take away the overtime, he would only had like 40 some rush yards, and he had 3 turnovers in that game. So it is possible, but I think they're the only team that's really done it. It's not going to be easy. If there's a team that can do it, I can see San Francisco doing it this weekend. But if they can't do it, teams should better be in trouble, because they are one of the, if not the best defensive team in the league. It's going to be difficult. There's always that player or scheme or something that happens every year that people think that's impossible to stop. You know, going back to 2015, it was Cam Newton. Then it was Matt Ryan in the Falcons offense. Then it was Sean McVay, Patrick Mahomes last year, and now Lamar Jackson. Like, eventually somebody figures out how to stop it, and it's just a matter of when, and it may not be this year. Baltimore by far looks like the best team in the league right now. They started the year 2-2, and ever since then they've been just tearing through teams. I seen something like they've outscored their opponents like 143-26 in the last 4 games, and that is ridiculous. It's not going to be like something that's going to happen overnight. Teams are going to have to really prepare for this and try to dig and find some kind of weakness, or Lamar's just going to have to come out and have just a bad game. Because, I mean, that happens once in a while too, but that's more on a player than a defense sometimes. So I don't anticipate it happening, at least by in the AFC. Like, he's going to tear through that. It's going to have to be one of these NFC defenses that come in here and figure out how to stop him, I think. So.
Right. The other thing I was going to add to that, I'm very excited for this game this weekend between San Francisco and Baltimore, because it's going to be, as us old timers used to say, it's going to be a slobber knocker. I mean, they are going to beat the hell out of each other. But 49ers better flatten that pass rush out, though. Don't go too deep with them, because you do that, Lamar's gone.
Yeah, right up the middle he'll go.
You know.
Yeah, you got to be careful on that.
You know, that's all I wanted to add to it. It's just that I'm sure they know that you know, they got to flatten that pass rush out on the ends.
Yeah, I agree with you. The 49ers have had a little bit of trouble with running quarterbacks. So we're going to see how they do it, but I know that they have the players to do it on that defense, to slow them down. It's just a matter of if they've learned from past games or not.
Right.
So we'll have to see. I look forward to that game. I think it's going to be very tight, and I think it's going to be a lot lower scoring than people think it's going to be.
I agree.
All right. Do the Indianapolis Colts have a low ceiling as a team? If so, explain why or why not, regardless of whether or not they make the playoffs.
What do they mean by low ceiling? Like,
I feel like he's saying like can they only be like so good? Like, you know how people like say that they, you know, they have a high ceiling to be like super good.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I mean, they're not. If they get into the playoffs, they're not going to make any noise like Oakland. They're a young team with a young quarterback who, I understand he's been in the league a few years, but he's still young. I mean, he's young as in being a starter.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. They've got a lot of injury problems. Max done for the year. T.Y., I'm not too sure if he's going to play again this year, because he came back for a game and then he's done again for a couple more weeks, at least they said.
Yeah,
so,
I know he's already ruled out for sure Sunday, so he won't play.
I think he might be done for the year. They're only going to go so far, even if they get into the playoffs. I think they'll probably get rolled in the first round, depending on who they get matched up with.
Yeah, well, with the injuries they have, I'm assuming if they get in, it would be a wild card, so they would have to play either Houston, who just beat them, and I don't think they can match up to Houston with all the injuries that they have. That was with Mac.
Right.
And then they would either that or they would have to play. Who's the other division? It's not Baltimore. What division? Oh, Kansas City, and they definitely ain't gonna beat them. So, I mean.
Well, I mean, they already did. But
no, but that was with pieces. That was before they were hurt, right?
What's that?
That was before they were hurt. They had T.Y. and Mac and all them when they beat Kansas City the first time.
Right.
Right. So this is nowhere near the same team. I don't think that they have a low ceiling, like they said, because if they were healthy, they were a good team when they were healthy. So the ceiling question, I guess I would have to ask the person who posted it whether they're talking about with injuries or without, because usually when you talk about a ceiling, it's like with a healthy roster. So with a healthy roster, I don't think they have a low ceiling at all. With this roster, they do. So I guess it just depends on the question, because they're not going to do anything here. That's why I'm not really taking them seriously for the wild card spot, and I really think it's going to be between Oakland and Cleveland, because I just don't see them being able to win a lot of games down the stretch with the team that they currently have right now. You know, and Brissett hasn't looked like he's 100% healthy either since he's hurt himself. So,
right.
I mean, even that's like, oof. So, yeah, I would say with the injuries, their ceiling is low. Without the injuries, their ceiling is very high. Good morning, George. All right, next question. Assuming Carolina does move on from Cam Newton, which projected free agent QB would be the best fit in Carolina? In which upcoming rookie QB would be the best fit?
I don't think they go after a free agent.
Yeah, me neither.
I think they'll stick with Kyle Allen. And I mean, I don't really know if they spend too high of a draft pick on a quarterback. To be honest, I think they like Kyle Allen. He's actually, he's been okay. He's had a couple rough games lately, but he started out really well, and he already knows the system. They'll probably get somebody later in the later rounds to bring him in as backup, but I definitely don't see them going and bringing somebody in.
Right. Kyle Allen just played a phenomenal game against the Saints last week in a game that Carolina really shouldn't have been able to compete in, and he almost beat the Saints. I think everybody's just remembering that he had 4 picks the week before. Like, that was his, he's had 2 bad games, and the other bad game wasn't even, super terrible. It was just not good. Yeah. That was his first, really bad game. And, every quarterback has those. Peyton Manning had a game where he threw, 6 picks in one game. So, I mean, I wouldn't throw him out just because he had one bad game. I think Kyle Allen's a pretty solid quarterback. I don't know if he's going to be, your franchise quarterback for, the next, 5 to 10 years. But we'll have to see how he develops from this year to next year before we can decide that. They're not going to go after a free agent quarterback. I could see them possibly drafting a lower-end quarterback, like a Jalen Hurts or somebody they could get at, later in the first or possibly the second round, maybe just in case. But they're not. It's not like they're going to trade up and try to go after one of these bigger name quarterbacks.
Yeah, well, Jalen Hurts has got a 3rd round grade on him right now.
Yeah. That's why I used him as an example, because they could get him later.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like he's better than Tua, and Tua was supposed to go number 1, so I don't understand how these people make these projections. But
I don't either. I don't think they want to give Kyle Allen the opportunity to to show them. I mean, he's already showed them he can do it. I guess.
Yeah.
It's balls in his court now. I mean, it's whether he does or if he doesn't. If he doesn't, then obviously they'll bring somebody else in. But
yeah, I agree. So, but I think they're going to give him a shot to progress into another year. I don't think they're going to try to ship him off.
Yeah.
Because he's played pretty solid this year. So if he can progress into next year, that's solid.
Yeah. Plus, that buys him another year to work at other positions on the field that they need to address.
Yep, and I think it also depends on what they do with their coach. So, because he's probably going to want to stick with Allen, but if another coach comes in, he may want to try to make his own mark on the team. So it really does depend on what happens with the coach too.
Right.
Because I know he's on the hot seat, so it's going to depend on how Carolina performs down the stretch. They don't have a chance of making the playoffs at 5-6, not in the NFC. But if he wins most of his games down the stretch, I think they'll keep him.
Right.
Because they know that without Cam Newton, he came in and brought with Kyle Allen, and still if they go 9-7, I think he's going to keep his job. So it'll depend on the head coach situation too. So it's kind of a hard question to answer, to be honest with you. But regardless, I don't think they go after one in free agency.
Right. I don't think so either. I mean, there's no sense in spending the money when, like I said, you can address other needs on the team.
Yeah.
Offensive line.
Wide receivers that you haven't had since Steve Smith.
Yeah, defense. I mean, you got to have defense. Well, Kyle Allen and DJ Moore have been clicking pretty well.
But DJ Moore was the only one, so that's that's equivalent to Green Bay having Devontae Adams, and then when Aaron Rodgers looks elsewhere, he's like, oh, God.
Yeah.
I'm
just going to run.
Right. Because, I'm checking down on my running back because that's all I got.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they got other pieces they need to address. Receivers on offense, they got quite a bit of pieces on defense that they could address. So, we'll see where it goes. But
Right.
I think Kyle Allen could keep it afloat with CMC because, I mean, he makes anybody look good.
Yeah. See, I'm sorry. Because we are on talking about the Panthers, was it you that posted that about all the cat teams being 0-12 since the Black Cat incident?
Yeah.
That's freaking crazy, dude.
Yeah, okay, so the people who...
I gave it no thought until I read that, and I'm like, oh my God, that's right.
So the people who don't know, everybody knows about the Dallas Cowboys-Giants Monday night game where the Black Cat ran on the field, right? And you know how Black Cats is supposed to be bad luck? Well, ever since the Black Cat ran onto the field on Monday Night Football, a team with a cat logo has not won a game. And that is not, I'm not making that up, that is 100% factual.
They are 0-12, actually.
0-12
So
combined.
It's not like it's only been a couple games. They are 0-12 combined.
Yeah, it's just crazy, to be honest with you.
I didn't mean to get off subject, but it just popped into my head.
No, it's just
an
interesting thing to tell the viewers, I don't know how many people believe in that kind of stuff. I'm not a big believer in that kind of stuff. I troll people, but it's still interesting to see it. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'm not either. I mean, it's purely coincidental, but it's also kind of cool.
It is. It's kind of cool. Damn unlucky Black Cats.
Right.
All right.
As useful as ketchup.
Well, damn, dude, I have a black cat. He's not useless. Jeez.
I said he's about as useful as ketchup.
And you think ketchup is useless, so I put two and two together. So, all right.
Pretty astute this morning. Yeah, I got a black dog, so.
If the Vikings go into Seattle and win, and Kirk Cousins has a big day, does that finally put him into the MVP conversation?
Yeah, if they do that, I don't think they're gonna. I got things riding on this, and this is one of the games that I gotta have here.
You do, because it's getting awfully close now.
Seattle's one of my
going on, Jeremiah.
hopes, and they're that's a brutal place to play.
It is. It definitely is. But here's an interesting statistic: Seattle's only 3-2 at home this year.
Well, yeah, but weren't there 2 losses earlier when they're still trying to get things going?
I mean, whether I don't know. I didn't look at it that closely, but I just seen that their home record is not they're undefeated on the road. That's usually Seattle's the opposite. They play really well at home, and down the road usually where they struggle. So it's kind of weird to see it opposite this year. I still don't want to go to Seattle because you can't even hear the play call, so I'm not looking forward.
I was just going to say, I guarantee you, come Sunday, the 12th man will be in full effect.
Monday? 12th man ain't going to say anything Sunday.
Yeah, did I say Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah, Monday, the 12th man will be in full effect.
Yeah, Curtis said one of the losses was to Baltimore at home.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I think if he has a big game against Seattle on prime time, the things that he wasn't supposed to do, coming into the year, he couldn't beat winning teams, he couldn't win on prime time. Well, he's already done both of those this year, and if he can cement it again against a real contender like Seattle, and go in there and just explode on them, then yeah, it's gonna put him into the MVP conversation. I mean, no matter how many haters he's got, you can't ignore what he's done this year. He's played extremely well ever since week 4, when he got called out by his receivers, and ever since I want to go back to that real quick. By the way, for Cousins, I don't necessarily think it was Cousins the first 4 weeks. The play calling was awful. And it was really hard for a guy to play as good when they were calling plays like they were the first 4 weeks. They were very conservative, and for him to try to be able to build momentum is very difficult when they're running the ball 60 times.
Right.
So I think a lot of it was just terrible play because they were running the ball 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, and it's just come on, man. So ever since they opened up the playbook for him, he's played really well. So. I don't know if Thielen's going to be back. I was very hopeful, but he said yesterday that he didn't know if he was going to play. So that doesn't sound very hopeful.
Yeah, that's what I was reading too. And usually by Friday they know. A player knows if they're going to be able to make it or not. But you know, he's also got the extra day, so you never know. I mean, he might recover quicker than he thinks.
He should have never tried to come back early that one time.
Yeah, it's going to be. This is another game. It's going to be just a knockdown drag out, in my opinion.
Whatever team wins, it's going to be close. The game's going to be close. It's going to be very physical. Yeah. Both those defenses like to hit. I know Seattle's defense isn't up to par what it used to be, but they still hit hard. And they know their weakness. You can run the ball in Seattle, right? So they know that, and they know Dalvin Cook's on the other side. So I feel like they're going to game plan to stop the run. So expect kind of a lower scoring game because the Vikings are going to try to pound it, and they're going to be ready for it. Because they know that's where they're weak, and they know that's where the Vikings are going to try to go.
Well,
Pete Carroll's too smart for that.
Yeah, I think the same can be said for Seattle too. I mean, Vikings' strength is their run defense, on defense,
yep.
And that's what Seattle does best is run the ball. But they've also got 3 very capable receivers and a very capable tight end to go with, arguably the MVP of the league right now.
My biggest concern going into this game is Xavier Rhodes because he's struggled this year, and I know he's played better like the last few games or so, but where he's still getting beat in those games is against speedy receivers, and that's what Seattle has.
I told you.
And he's good against the physical receivers, like against the Julio Joneses and stuff like that, like guys that he can hit and that want to contact. He's good against those guys, but when you get guys like Tyler Lockett that want to blow by you, like he's just screwed.
Yeah, well, I mean, and they're too physical. What you would consider, I guess, physical guys, Gordon and Metcalf, can also blow by you.
Yeah, those guys are fast still too, so they're gonna know Carroll's too smart for that, so they're gonna tell those two not to be physical to Rhodes if he's covering them because that's where Rhodes wins his matchups when you try to do that, right? So if you avoid that and just try to blow past him, you're going to beat him.
Right.
And they're going to have one of the safeties back there to help him out. And I know Harrison Smith's banged up, and I don't know if he's going to play. So that's a huge loss. Because in my opinion, he's the best safety in football, and he's not going to be out there playing, and that's huge. Maybe. I mean, it's not
guaranteed. Did they just recently get Sendejo back from Philly?
They did, and for some reason he stinks. He stunk there, but he played well his first game back here. It's like he plays good in Minnesota, and then I don't know what happened in Philly. I'm not sure, but
it's that Philly pass D stank.
It probably is. It probably wasn't even him that bad. Everybody was so bad that it just made Sendejo look terrible.
Yeah, but I don't. This is not me hating, but I don't think that Xavier Rhodes could even go physical, especially with DK. Those two are just monsters of men.
I mean, they are, but guys like Julio are monsters too, and he handles those guys.
They're not. I don't think Julio is the physical freak that DK and Gordon is. To be honest, they just by looking at them, you look at them, and those two are just. They are.
They're extremely. They are. They look like Greek gods. I'm not gonna lie, but I still think they know that his weakness is speed, so I don't think they're gonna try to even attempt the physical stuff.
Right.
If they know he's got a weakness instead of a strength, they're probably gonna try to attack that. It just seems like the more intelligent thing to do. Whether you think you can beat him strength-wise or not, you don't try to play into his strengths.
Right.
So I don't think that that's gonna happen at all. And I think that he's going to cover Lockett most of the game anyway, which in my opinion is a mistake, but I think that's what's going to happen.
Right.
So I'm going to be nervous, and I expect Russ to have a decent game. Especially since he doesn't ever throw a bad pass to Tyler Lockett. So.
Right. And then I don't know how I guess it's no different than targeting Tyree, because Lockett's not a big guy at all. He seems to do well in getting lost in the wash of the defense and finding the opening, the little pocket where he can grab the ball
Yeah, he's super small, so it's like they lose him out there sometimes, and then, all of a sudden he's wide open too, and then
Right.
it's like, oh, oopsies. Kid's good. I mean, size matters, but there are just some people who are just exception to the rules. Tyler Lockett, Steve Smith.
Yep.
Steve Smith was one of my heroes as a kid because he was like 5'8".
Oh, mine too. Yeah.
And he still would body people. I mean, he wasn't even just a speed guy; he would manhandle you.
Right. Yeah. Steve Smith was one of my favorite players too, just because. And not because of the whole size thing, but just his attitude is, I'm not going to fail attitude. And, and he had that chip on his shoulder ever since he got drafted. Because he was drafted so late, and that really got under his skin. And, like a lot of guys do, when they get bypassed by teams, they make the teams that bypass pay.
But why did he get passed up? Because of his size, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly, because of his size. They said he was too small, too slow.
I don't even think he was that slow, really, was he? I mean,
he
watching him run with the ball didn't seem slow.
He was smart is all. He knew how to get himself, in position to get the ball. And then when he had it, he was so physically strong. He kind of I think he caught guys off guard, even if they, even knowing that he's a strong guy, you're going to have to come with it. And they still didn't bring enough. Sometimes, because he said, how many times did you watch him just slam somebody to the ground with a stiff arm?
Yeah, watching him was just amazing.
Yep.
Steve Smith was one of my favorite players to watch. He's my second favorite wide receiver ever. So,
Jerry Rice is a god, isn't he?
I was talking about Randy Moss, the true GOAT, but...
Just trolling you.
I know. I knew you knew who I was talking about. So, all right. Next question. After the Seahawks win Monday, do the Vikings go on a losing streak? Is this a troll question?
I don't know. I didn't ask it.
No, they're not going to go on a losing streak. They may lose to Seattle Monday. I'm not saying that's not possible at all. But going on a losing streak, no. The only other game the Vikings might lose in their schedule is Green Bay. So they're not going to go on a losing streak. They got to play the Lions. They got to play Tampa Bay or something, and they got to play Chicago.
They got to play San Diego, don't they?
Oh, Chargers. There we go. That was one of the teams too. Chargers.
That's pretty
right?
sad. They're not my team, and I know who they play, and you don't.
Well, I look at every team's schedule all the time because we do this damn podcast, so I get them all mixed up. All I need to know is who's next man up. That's all I need to know.
That game's in San Diego, ain't it?
It should be because they played Oakland at home, then they played Kansas City on the road, and then they played who's the other AFC West team? Why am I drawing so many blanks today?
Denver.
They played Denver. They played Denver at home their last game.
Yep.
So yeah, it'll be on the road in LA. So
that San Diego game could be a trap game too.
San Diego does not have a team.
Yeah, tell that Green Bay.
No, LA's got a team. San Diego does not have a team. Come on, Neil.
Oh, you know what I mean.
It's been 2 years now. You got to stop.
Nah.
The first year you get a passes. After that,
fine. The Chargers game.
They're gonna blow out the Chargers, bro.
Yeah, in my opinion, the Chargers game for Minnesota is a trap game. They better be ready.
Phillip Rivers is gonna throw like 40 picks in that game.
Okay.
I mean, that's what he's done. So you got a Vikings fan in here agreeing that it's a trap game.
That's all I wanted.
There you go. In the comments, a Vikings fan agreed it's a trap game.
Thank you.
But she said they're not going to lose to the Chargers. So
I didn't say they were. I'm just saying that's a trap game, and that defense can. Those two ends, Ingram and and Nick or Joey. Bosa,
yeah.
And they can get after you. And Cousins seems to be a guy that you can rattle him. It takes a lot to get him there, but once you do, then it kind of just collapses around him.
You definitely can, but that's where I was impressed with him in the Broncos game, because the announcers mentioned that, right? Like, he can't, when he's got to stand in the pocket and take pressure, he can't play well. They mentioned that during the Denver game, and he played extremely well in that second half, regardless of the pressure. So he's kind of like putting a lot of these old things to rest. Now, I know it's only one game, but it's still good to see that kind of stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, he had pressure on him in the second half of that game and still played extremely well. He threw for 300 and some yards in the second half against the top 5 defense. And so that kind of stuff, like, makes you feel good about where he's going as a player. So we'll have to see. Definitely, based on his past, that's definitely a worrisome. And I'm not, like, out of the worry boat yet. I'm just glad that I've seen him kind of make a stride on that at least a little bit. I'm definitely afraid of that front of the Chargers, though, when they get there. So we'll see how it goes. But no, they won't go on a losing streak, because that would be numerous losses in a row. Nobody loses to Detroit anymore. Okay, so that's not going to happen. So Detroit's defense is too easy. Yeah, I think the Vikings scored almost every possession they had the last time they played the Lions. So, all right.
They'll lose. When do they play Detroit again? 3 weeks?
It's not next week, but the week after, I think.
Okay, that's 3 weeks from now. Yeah, so they're gonna lose 2, win 1.
Oh, stop it. All right. The next person asked, how crazy is it that the top 5 receiving yard leaders are all in the same division? You know, until this question was asked, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and 2 of them were from the same team.
Number 2 and 3 are from the same team. This is before Thursday, people. I don't know what the receiving yardage looks like updated after the Thanksgiving Day games. But coming into this week, the top 5 receiving leaders were all from the NFC South. And it was Mike Thomas, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Julio Jones, and DJ Moore.
Yep.
Were the top 5 receivers in the league. Like, and they're all from the same division, and that is absolutely nuts.
And then especially the 2 from the same team, and that team
sucks.
Got a losing record by a long shot.
Yeah, and they have the worst quarterback in the division.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's part of Jameis Winston's game, though. I just throw it up.
Right.
So that makes it easy to get yards. Not taking anything away from the receivers, because both those guys are beasts. But I'm taking it away from Jameis Winston, because he's like second in yardage or something, or third, and he's still shitty.
Right.
But it's nuts. I don't know whether that says a lot about the offense in that division, or that says a lot about the defenses in that division, because like, I've never seen that before. And that,
you gotta go a little bit of both, and, you know, as far as
I agree. I was just gonna say that.
And it's kind of surprising, because the Saints have a better defense than that, in my opinion. You know, they have a good lockdown corner, and they got a good pass rush. Sorry, I had to stand up for a minute.
No, you're good.
But that's just a shocking statistic, is all. I've never seen that literally in all my years of watching.
Yeah, me neither. That's crazy. I do think it has a little bit to do with both. I think a lot of those teams have, pretty much all those teams have good offenses, to be honest with you. The only one that's suspect really on offense is Carolina. But I mean, DJ Moore's done his part, and CMC does his part, and CMC makes it easy for them to kind of throw the ball around.
Right.
But that's the only one I think that's even suspect. The other 3 offenses are lights out, because Atlanta's problem is defense, right? Because they can't stop anything. Which is, I'm surprised the Saints only scored 26 points against them. The only team that their defense has showed up against all year is New Orleans. But you got to look at the quarterbacks in that division. Jameis Winston's always been a deep ball thrower. That's the only throw that he can make in the NFL, because any mediocre passes are always off target. super inaccurate. Drew Brees is obviously one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. Matt Ryan's always thrown the ball around. Look at his history. That's what he's done. He's always big yardage. Matt Ryan, since he was a rookie even.
Right.
Mad yardage for Matt Ryan. He's always been that way. So it doesn't really shock me that those two are up there.
He was that way when he played at Boston College too, and Boston College is more of a running program
Was he?
than passing. But when Matt Ryan was there, they threw the ball all over the place.
Yeah, Matt Ryan's just that guy that likes to sling it, So, but to have 5 receivers all from the same division is nuts. Even with the offenses the way they are, I've never seen it before, and it's crazy. We probably never see it again. So, okay, next question, and it's actually the last question. Are the Bills actually that good, or do the Cowboys just suck?
The Bills are good. And they exposed Dallas's weaknesses and actually made it look worse than what it truly is. I don't give a shit I'm sorry, I mean the cuss, but I don't care what Jerry Jones says. I don't think Garrett makes it after this year's over. I think he's gone.
Well, I was hearing rumors that they had to win the Super Bowl for him to even keep his job.
Yeah.
Which isn't going to happen.
Well, and you look back at Jerry Jones' history, everywhere he's gone, winning is the way he does. He's at the University of Arkansas, going all the way back to when he was in college. That's why he brought Jimmy Johnson in after he got that team. He fired Tom Landry, and because Tom was just too old and not getting it done anymore. And I think that's what you're going to see. And I'm kind of, I know you've seen the same rumors I've seen, the ties to Urban Meyer.
Yep.
But, that was... Buffalo is good, but they found Dallas's weakness, and they just kept turning twisting the knife once they got it in there.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a little bit of both. I do think Buffalo's good, but how good I don't know, because the guy who asked the question actually in the comments, because Gangles was like, what kind of question is that? The Bills are 9-3, and he said, yeah, but this was the Bills' first win against a team above 500. Did not know that. Interesting statistic. So they haven't been truly tested yet, right? So I think they are good, but how good are they? We're not going to find that out, I don't think, until the postseason starts.
They were tested when they played New England early in the year. New England was rolling, and they actually gave New England a game.
They did. But what I'm saying is like severely tested, right? This is like only their second or third game against a team that's good.
Right.
We've seen them play with New England, but they couldn't score, right? But that was before their offense started clicking. So we'll have to see how it goes. I do think they're going to play New England again, right? I'm very interested in that game.
Right. I would like to say too, shout out to Frank Gore for passing Barry Sanders and becoming the third leading rusher in NFL history.
Yeah. Big props to him. He's been one of the most underrated players to ever play in this game.
Yep,
because he's been consistently good his entire career. It took him 80 more games to get to where Barry Sanders was. Wasn't Barry Sanders, but the guy was consistently great.
Yep.
Like he was always producing for you, and it was always quiet. You never heard anything negative about Frank Gore ever.
Yep, he wasn't the guy to scream and holler when he didn't get the ball.
No, he wasn't. And mad props to him, and he is well deserved. He earned it, and hopefully he retires healthy and he has no health problems when he's there. I know he's played for a long time, but he stayed fairly, for the most part, healthy outside of like one injury. So it's good to see those type of players. Good people that stayed healthy, doing it the right way. Love to see that. So mad props to Frank Gore for that.
Yeah, I didn't mean to get us off track, but I just want to throw that out there because it deserved to be recognized.
It absolutely did. So I have no problem with that. That was a good shout out. Trying to find our picks for today. I found them. Okay, we'll start the picks. Do you have your picks?
I'm on my phone.
Oh, so you can't see them while you're on your phone?
Nah, because my service is not very good here at home.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll just read them out then, and I'll lead, and you can go ahead and just go after me.
Okay.
Both me and Neil picked Chicago, Dallas, and New Orleans Thursday. Both of us the same picks. So obviously we were 2-1 because Dallas sucks, and we should have never picked Dallas.
Yeah, I agree.
Our mistake. I figured it was in Dallas on Thanksgiving. If they were going to play good against a winning team, that would be the day, but I guess not.
Right.
So, all right, we'll start out with the Jets at Cincinnati. I don't have a ton to say because Cincinnati's just that bad. They have like a 2-game lead for the number 1 pick now. Like it's a large lead. Like you are by far the worst team in the league, and I thought Miami was going to run away with that. The Jets are clicking now. They're the Jets that I thought they should have been at the beginning of the year. Darnold's playing well. They're starting to get Bell involved now. The defense is playing extremely well now. Despite having Adam Gase as a head coach, they are finally living up to what they should have been. And unfortunately, it's too late this year, I think. But they're gonna be a team next year, I think. So I got the Jets in this one.
Yeah, and I got the Jets also. I don't understand the move they made a couple weeks back when they traded their defensive tackle away. Their nose tackle. I don't understand that because he was a good run stopper. And once they done that, then all of a sudden teams started running on him.
I have no idea.
I don't know if that was Mr. Butthole's idea or what, but so but I mean, Cincinnati is just a train wreck. They're playing for. They're going to get the first overall draft, I think. So they definitely need a quarterback. They need a lot more than that, though. They need offensive linemen. They need anything on defense that resembles the defense.
I think if they get the number 1 pick, though, I think they're gonna draft Joe Burrow. I think because they tried the Ryan Finley experiment and that did not work. So they need a quarterback desperately. I know they have a lot of pieces, but without a quarterback, you're a sinking ship.
And Finley, like you said, it was an experiment, and it wasn't one that cost them a lot because he was a 5th-round pick.
Right. But they just needed to see what they had.
Yeah.
Not impressive.
I mean, I'm not saying he is good, but it's really hard to judge somebody behind that offensive line, to be honest. I mean, that's really, to me, it's not a fair shake, but yeah, they got a lot of. That's a team that's many, many years away.
Yep, they need an entire rebuild.
Yeah, and that's if Zach Taylor is allowed afforded that much time. I don't think he will be, which is
unfortunate because I hate when coaches aren't when you know that the team's already a train wreck.
Yep.
Like, what's the coach supposed to do with that? But
right.
And unfortunately, that may cost him more coaching opportunities in the future too, because teams will look and say, "Well, he sucked every year with Cincinnati, even though he didn't have anything."
Yeah, he's a good young coach, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Tennessee at Indianapolis. I have Indy in this game. I know I talked about how I don't think they're going to make that big of a run for the wild card, but it's in Indy, and Tennessee never does anything this late in the season either, and they never beat Indy. So, like, all those things played in a factor. I think the game will be close, but they cannot beat Indianapolis. I just don't know what the issue is there. I've seen a statistic like they've only won 3 games against Indianapolis in like the last 10 years. That's brutal. Like, you play them twice a year. Oh, that's awful. So yeah, I got Indy in that game.
This game was this was how I normally do my picks is I go read on the list, and then if I come to one that I'm really not sure of and I actually got to put some thought into, then I'll skip it and keep on going.
Right.
And then come back to it. And this is one of those I had to do that with. Really, the only reason that I gave it to Indy was the home field advantage.
That was big into me
really
too.
is a much home field advantage. I mean, these two stadiums or these two fan bases are roughly 5 hours apart. I mean, there's not much distance between them, so and both teams travel, especially the Titans. Titans travel really well. Their fan base does. They've.
Well, it does put them indoors, though.
What's that?
It does put them indoors, though.
Yeah, and and the Titans have actually, since Tannehill took over, they've improved.
They have.
AJ Brown is finally becoming a thing. And I think, obviously he gives them a better chance to win than Mariota did. I saw somewhere, I'm not sure, I'm trying to remember what the stat was. If it was a fantasy football stat or if it was an actual football stat. But something where he was just behind Lamar Jackson as the number 2 quarterback in the NFL since he took over.
Yeah, he's played really well. That wasn't why I picked him to lose. He definitely wasn't the reason why. It's just being in Indy and the history against Indy, and that's him. And his Tennessee's history of collapsing at the end. Even in Mariota's good year, they barely made the playoffs because they struggled down the stretch. So it's just something about him. They're gonna have to show me before I change my opinion on that.
Right.
So I wouldn't be shocked if Tennessee wins. I just had to pick a team, so it's just what I went with. It was a hard game for me to pick.
Right.
Because Tennessee's looked like the better team the last month than Indy has. And I don't think it's even close. So
yeah, Indy the last time in my opinion, they looked good was when they beat Kansas City.
Yep. That was a shocker.
Yeah.
All right, Cleveland at Pittsburgh. I got Cleveland. I know Pittsburgh's probably going to come out with some. I expect this to be a closer game than last time. One, it's in Pittsburgh. Two, obviously the Pittsburgh players are a little angry with them after the Myles Garrett thing, so I expect some fire out of Pittsburgh, and I do expect Pittsburgh to come out of the gate hot. But they're not. They're going to be. I don't think James Conner is going to play. Did you hear if he's going to play or not?
No, he's not.
He's not going to play. I didn't think so. Last time I heard he was very likely not to play, and now Neil says he's not.
Benny Snell will be their starting running back.
So he's not going to be there. They're going to a third-string quarterback who, by the way, I do think is better than Mason Rudolph, but no chemistry there. So that will take a second. I do think that they'll probably score on their first 2 possessions or so, just because of the anger over the Myles Garrett thing, and that those type of situations do flame teams. But after that, I think they're going to fizzle out, and I expect a closer one. But Cleveland's just got way more talent than this Pittsburgh team has right now, and that's what it's going to come down to at the end is eventually talent, and the fact that they're riding momentum, right? Because Cleveland's won 3 in a row, so momentum and talent is just going to overtake this eventually, and Cleveland's going to win.
I'm going to obviously take Cleveland in this, and for a lot of the same reasons, but there something I want to add to what you said is, Pittsburgh's going to be mad about what happened, but I guarantee Cleveland's mad about it too. What Myles Garrett did was inexcusable, should never happen. But I assure you, I'm willing to bet a lot of money something was said to him to trigger that. Because
yeah.
That's not him. I mean, we've talked about this, we beat this drum a lot. I'm just saying, Cleveland's going to come all fired up too. These are bitter rivals. They've been rivals for longer than I've been alive, and they just absolutely hate each other, period. This is Minnesota, Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, Minnesota, Chicago type rivalry. So I don't really have a lot to say. I mean, Cleveland's got, obviously, on paper, is more talented. They got the better receivers. They got the better running backs. Their only question, which has been their question all year long, is the play calling and offensive line play, which seems that they've kind of put a Band-Aid on the offensive line for now anyway.
I've also liked how Cleveland's now started to finally get Odell involved in the offense more.
Yeah.
And that's helped a lot.
They needed to. I mean, he's a threat, and teams need to, they need to respect that. And if you're not using them, they're not going to respect that.
Right. I mean, literally, like, fans have, like, all year, I've been seeing fans say that Odell's overrated and stuff like that. Now, like, stop, because he wasn't involved in the game plan. That's not.
No.
That has nothing to do with his skill. You see when the guy has a ball thrown his way, what his skill is. Okay, like, so like don't even go there. If Odell Beckham had the targets this year, he'd be right up there with the other guys. So
Yep.
I don't want to hear any of that garbage.
Yep.
All right, Philly at Miami. You know, at the beginning of the season, I thought this would be like just a throwaway game, but actually this game is going to be quite interesting on paper because both these teams suck. Like, Philly, because of injuries. I don't know if he is or not. I haven't really been paying attention, but he's bored at work, so it wouldn't shock me. But even he'll say it. He won't even be mad at me for saying it. He'll say it, right? They're awful right now, right? They have nobody to catch the ball. I know Nelson Aguilar's coming back, but, like, he can't catch anyways. So that really doesn't help you in the pass catching department. Right? Carson Wentz is throwing to Walmart employees out on the field right now, and it looks bad. It looks bad. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the Seattle game and the New England game, right? But they lost both of those games by one score. And if either their defense, especially their defense in the New England game, or their offense could catch passes, they would have won both those games.
Right.
But they can't, and it's awful to watch. And I couldn't imagine being a Philly fan right now, because like knowing how good like your team is, like when they're healthy, and to see what's going on right now in the field has got to be heartbreaking. Like,
yeah, especially considering where they were a couple years ago.
Right. I mean, coming off Super Bowl 2 years ago, like to what they are right now is. But the crazy thing is, though, is with their schedule, they can still get in the playoffs because they have the easiest remaining schedule left in the league, and they're a half game behind Dallas.
Right.
So.
I was going to say the only reason that's happening is because a particular team in that division is not playing to their talent level.
Well, that's two of them, Philly and Dallas.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I told Brent, whatever team wins the East is just playing to get annihilated in the first round.
I agree.
Because the four possible wild cards, because the playoffs for the NFC is locked up. I'm sorry if you're a Rams fan, it's locked up. Okay, all 6 teams that are in there now are making it. It's just seeding now. Okay, so they're either going to play Seattle, San Francisco, Green Bay, or Minnesota, who will beat all 4 of those teams will beat either one of those 2 teams on the road. It won't matter. So they're just playing to get beat in the first round of the playoffs. So, but I got Philly in this game, but I don't expect it to be a blowout. I think the game will be closer than people think it will be, especially in Miami.
How much did Felipe pay you to say that?
Felipe didn't pay me nothing to say it, but he'd be very happy.
Oh,
you mean
man.
Dan Marino.
I mean, I was obviously giving you a bunch of guff there, but I think this game is going to be closer than it appears on paper too, because what Miami can do decently on offense is Philly's weakness on defense, and that's the passing game. Devontae Parker has come alive, and Fitzmagic's back there flinging it to wherever. I mean, he's just throwing it up there and saying, "Go get it." But Parker's actually been really good the last 5-6 weeks since.
So ever since Preston got hurt, yeah.
Williams went down. Miami don't really have much of a running game. They're relying on Patrick Laird as their receiving back, and so I sure who they got. I think he's running them. He's their 3-down back now, isn't he? Because
is he?
Walton, didn't he get arrested again?
Yeah, he got cut. He beat his pregnant girlfriend.
Okay. Yeah,
Trash. That guy should never be allowed back in the league ever.
No. And he had legal issues before when he was drafted. He should have never even been drafted, to be honest. But no, I'm going to take Philly, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of them games that is just a jaw-dropping upset.
If Philly loses to Miami, we won't see Johansson the rest of football season.
Send out a search party.
Yeah. Missing. Put him on side of milk cartons.
He'll be like, what's his face from Dodgeball? Ben Stiller, or Jerry, Ben Stiller. He'll be cooped up in his house after
super fat,
ice cream, all fat and everything.
Oh God! All right, Green Bay at the Giants. Green Bay's gonna win this game. I think that this game is gonna be a blowout. Okay, like they're mad now. Okay, they got embarrassed on national television last week. Like, losing to San Francisco is not an embarrassment, but how they lost to San Francisco is an embarrassment. I don't think they've ever been like. I thought the Chargers game was bad. I don't think the Packers have ever been this embarrassed before. That showing was pathetic. That was absolutely garbage, and it made everybody in the nation think they weren't for real. You could not have played a worse game than you did. Like, I've seen some beatdowns, but that was just they could not do anything the entire game, and San Francisco did everything they wanted to. It was awful. You're going to see a very angry Green Bay going to New York. Aaron Rodgers, you don't want to see Aaron Rodgers when he's angry. This has the makings of a 40-point showing for Green Bay, and I would not be shocked at all. So that's kind of what I'm anticipating in this game.
I completely agree. You could see it in his face during the game. When the game was basically in hand, and they were showing pictures of or showing shots of Rodgers on the sideline. You could just see the anger, just see from underneath his shoulder pads. I mean, he was just man. I don't recall ever seeing him that mad looking. And that doesn't bode well for the Giants, who, their defense is very questionable. I can't blame Rodgers for being mad because, it's him, it's Aaron Jones, it's
Devontae Adams,
and that's it. And maybe, Jimmy Graham might show up every now and again, but those three receivers they drafted the same year, not a single one of them has panned out.
Nope.
And Allison's actually went from a viable receiver to disappearing.
Yeah, I thought last year he was going to be the guy.
I did too.
And then this year, everybody thought Scaldus, I don't even know how you say his name. MVS was going to be good too, and he stinks too. So.
Yeah. I don't know what because, I think it takes more than one person to make a team, but the Bosa boys showed up both those games. And, Joey was all over him. So was Nick. And if Nick wasn't on him, he was disrupting and allowing a teammate to get back there.
Yeah, I know, but 104 passing yards regardless is...
it's just disgusting.
Especially for an Aaron Rodgers.
It's, it's in New York, but they're just going to...
this is just going to be...
eviscerate them.
Yeah, I could see like a 42-17 type game.
Yeah.
So, if you got Aaron Rodgers in fantasy this week, start him.
Right.
All right, Washington at Carolina. I'm not even going over this game. I'm just going to pick Carolina.
I'm there too. I mean,
only reason Washington got a win last week is because they played Detroit, who might be worse than them now. So,
I'm sorry, it just makes me laugh.
Well, I mean, it just shows you how valuable Stafford was because they went from almost a 500 team to they can't even beat Washington now. Like, and I know the quarterbacks ain't playing that bad, but that just shows you how good Stafford is. So I just kind of like to laugh at it. Now,
I kind of wonder if even he could help them at this point.
Well, I mean, they wouldn't have lost to Washington with Stafford. That's for sure.
I mean, he wouldn't have thrown the 2 picks at the end and almost a third.
Yeah. So, sorry. I mean, I'm not saying their backup QBs have played bad at all. That's not true. But he was having an MVP type year and was keeping them afloat despite a lot of problems. So it just kind of makes me laugh as a Stafford guy. Like, I hope they lose out.
Yeah, I got Carolina too.
So, so not much to say about this game in Carolina. Carolina. So, Tampa Bay at Jacksonville. This one's interesting to me, right? I'm regretting my pick already, right? But I already have it down, so I'm going to stick with it. I picked Jacksonville in this game, but I don't want to. Because Jameis is a mess, but he puts up yards and points, right? But he turns the ball over 3 times, right? But Jacksonville can't score now at all. Okay, with Nick Foles, going back to Nick Foles was a giant mistake. I said it before it happened, and it's proving it now. They've been absolutely obliterated both games that Nick Foles has been back, and it's just embarrassing. You paid this much money for a playoff only quarterback, right? Like, you got to make the playoffs before that guy shows up. Okay, and he may not even be a playoff only quarterback because he's only had success with one team. It's been Philly, and that's it. Every time he leaves, he's nowhere near as good. I try to tell everybody this, but when I posted on Facebook that I thought it was a mistake, I got hammered into the ground by a bunch of people coming to Foles' defense. Well, I told you so. I just want to say that now. I'm picking Jacksonville because it's in Jacksonville, but I'm very hesitant on this, and I would not be shocked if they actually get blown out again.
Yeah, we seem to be agreeing a lot this week. I, too, regretted the pick I made for the simple reason that, like you said, Foles he had a decent his first game was decent. Wasn't spectacular by any stretch, but it was decent, serviceable. But since then, he's just, not been that good. And Tampa Bay defends what Jacksonville does the best on offense.
Run the football.
I'm probably wrong, but the last I heard, they are the number 2 run defense.
That's the last time I looked. They were 2.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure, but yeah, they're the number 2 run defense in the NFL right now. Vitave, however you pronounce his name, is a man-child. There's YouTube clips, and I recommend, if you have not seen them, go look at them, of him as a high school running back. It's mind-boggling. I mean, even in high school, the kid was 280, 290, and just looked like a man among boys. But, I took Jacksonville. I wish I'd have taken Tampa, but I'll stick with my pick also.
Yeah, you can throw the ball on Tampa, but that's where the problem lies, is Nick Foles. Right. Is he reliable? He hasn't proven it yet, so this is where you wish you had Minshew. But, all right, now the big game of the week. San Francisco at Baltimore. I went back and forth on this game so much that I told the guys I picked the team that I didn't pick. So that's how back and forth I went, right? I picked Baltimore in this game because it was at Baltimore, and pretty much that's the only reason, because I feel like this game is like a coin flip. It really could go either way, and I literally thought when I was telling the guys yesterday that I picked San Francisco. But I remember now that I went back to it just being in Baltimore, and that's kind of what I kind of settled for it because the game's so close. Like, so I just was like, I'm gonna go with the home team because that's the advantage. And I cannot wait to see this game. I want to see if San Francisco can handle Lamar. Can Baltimore stop San Francisco's running offense? Like, it's just, oh man, this game is just gonna be wild. I will be watching this game 100%. So
yeah, I'm going to too. I also want to say we got to kind of fly through the rest of these because I got to have the dog at the. He's got to go get his bath in about. He's got to be there about 25 minutes. So.
Just go ahead and fly through then.
He stinks. Yeah, I got Baltimore. This is the game that I've been anticipating all week. This is gonna, Cream's gonna rise to the top. We'll see what happens. It's gonna be the Baltimore offense against that defense. And I honestly think the offense is gonna win it. But we'll see.
Yeah, should be a good game. All right, Rams at Arizona. I got the Rams in this game just because they're fighting for something and they're fighting to keep their playoff hopes alive, even though they're slim as it is. And they got embarrassed again last week. I don't think they're gonna want to do that again. Arizona's defense isn't the best. Their offense has been better this year. Like, I feel like that McVay's gonna be able to work something over the Cardinals' defense. I expect it to be kind of high scoring on both ends, but I got the Rams at a close one.
Yeah, I actually take Arizona for the upset here. It's going to be close. It's, there's going to be a lot of points put up. Arizona's playing for something right now, and that's pride. They're football players, they're professional football players who love what they do and very prideful.
And don't like losing.
Arizona's going to pull this one out, I think.
Right. Okay, Chargers at Denver. Denver beat the Chargers last time. I don't see them doing it again. I know it's in Denver, but I just can't see them beating the Chargers twice. Both these teams are bad, so usually bad teams split with each other. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go with that. And the fact that they have a steady quarterback and Drew Lock's getting his first start this week, and I expect that to be a little rough for him. So I think Drew Lock's a good quarterback, but I don't expect his first starts to be like rockets and lightning. So I expect the Chargers to take a very low-scoring game in this game.
Yep. I agree. Chargers, their season's done, but as far as any playoffs and anything like that goes, but it's a AFC West rivalry, and it's going to be a good game, I think. Kind of interesting, I guess, but yeah, I'm going to take the Chargers. They just got a little bit too much on offense.
Yeah, all right. Oakland at Kansas City. Oakland's just not ready yet to compete with Kansas City. They will be. Okay, I'm telling you guys that now. They will be ready soon, just not now. So Kansas City in this one in Kansas City.
Yeah, again, too much offense. Kansas City, I don't think that this, in my opinion, on looking at the schedule, will be the last game Oakland loses.
Yep, I agree.
But it's in Kansas City, and Arrowhead is a rough place to play.
Yep, agreed. All right, New England at Houston. As bad as I wanted to pick Houston in this game, I'm not going to. Defense wins it in the end. Brady's nowhere near Brady, but I do think the defense is good. I do think it'll be a close game just because New England can't score. So that's what I anticipate, like a lower scoring New England win. I'll be watching this game interested, though, because I'll be rooting for Houston hard, but I have to pick with my head, so that's what I'm doing.
When you said, when you're talking about Tom Brady,
yeah,
that's my dog's name, and he snapped his head over, looking at it like, who's calling me? Well, yeah, I mean, I also wanted to take Houston, but I couldn't, just because it's Belichick. It's, New England's defense, which turns out it wasn't as good as it originally was thought to be, but it's still a good defense.
Right.
I just don't. It's Belichick and Brady. You just can't. it's so hard to beat that combination. So I'm going to take New England to go down to Houston and take this one.
Yeah, same. All right, Minnesota and Seattle. I already know where your head lies on this game, and you know where mine lies here. I think Minnesota's going to do it. That lackluster defense that Seattle's going to give away eventually, and I think the Vikings are going to break this one open and steal one on the road in prime time.
They're not going to break it open. This is in Seattle. It's the 12th man. It's loud. It's going to be Seattle exploiting Minnesota's weakness in the pass defense with them two big receivers and that quick little slot guy, Lockett there.
Quick little slot guy.
I said, look, no, slot guy.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I got to have this one, so go Hawks.
All right. Now, right before you get off real quick, what's your prediction, Ohio State or Michigan?
You know where I want, but I almost got thrown out of B-dubs last year for this game, so, but I want Michigan, but I fear that it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Ohio State's going to win the game, but I'm a lot more confident now than I was a month ago. So, hopefully they keep it close and can pull it out in the end. All right, have a good day, man.
All right, you too. Take care.
See ya.